how would you say, moving on to the third question, that the situation has changed since you first started, teaching remote or moving remote? For as much of a plan that we had, there's always changes that you kind of have to make on the fly as you learn how different stakeholders, the parents, the students, and yourselves are all dealing with this.
Well, I'll hop in and just say that I got a completely new Q4 curriculum that was not part of my original teaching plan for the year for my 8th graders. And so I've been working through that and figuring out what things are most relevant. I teach computer science, and people are like, oh, it's going to be really easy for you to teach computer science online. And it's like, well, yes and no. The lessons that I had planned for Q4 that were part of our curriculum, there was a huge face-to-face component and a lot of group work. And that's a little trickier now in our virtual classroom. So I was given a new unit on artificial intelligence. But like Maureen said, it's really kind of picking out those things that are most important for them to know in the world of artificial intelligence. There's also a part of the unit where they're required to download software, and our district handed out Chromebooks to students who needed them. I know this software won't run on Chromebooks. So I'm axing that and putting in some more relevant unit learning in terms of things like things in their world. There's a part of the unit that covers smart schools and smart homes and smart cities. So really thinking about what a smart home could look like, how their city might be smart, and making it more relevant to their world, I think is really important right now. But that was a huge change that I wasn't, I knew my curriculum could be shifting. I wasn't sure how, but I've been trying to wrap my head around that. So that was a big shift that no one was anticipating for this class.
Yep, my school, we started out teaching 5 days a week. We did that for the first week, and that turned out to be too much. It turned out to be too much for teachers. It turned out to be too much for students. So we've constantly been varying things, and now we have other activities on Wednesday other than teaching that try and build, hold that community thing together. So that was something we'd never thought about before. And we only, the last couple of days, made basically a final decision about when the school year is going to end and whether or not we're going to have finals or not. So it's like, oh, okay. Now I have to rejigger everything because now at least finally I know, some sense of stability, which, I can say everything during the first 3-4 weeks kept changing. We had no idea how things were going to work. So we've gone from total uncertainty to maybe a little bit more certainty, which has been helpful in terms of establishing routine. But that routine is hard and important. Kids need it, I think. I need it.
Yeah, I know for us, like I said, we had paper packets that we were able to prepare in the beginning. Well, we're out of those. So it's completely digital now. And the kids, it was an easier transition, but totally shifting and saying, okay, now everything is in Google Classroom. This is what we're going to do. And even scaling back because they don't have teachers at home and I can only cover so much in a short amount of time. So going completely digital and not having the paper option has probably been the biggest shift. And even with grading, like we had report cards due while we were out. And then it was like, well, how do we get them? When do you turn them in? And then what's Q4 going to look like? And they're like, there will be no Q4. We're going to have a semester 1 and a semester 2. And it's very interesting when you're used to doing things a certain way for many, many years as an educator to be like, you have to grade differently. You have to assess differently. There is no attendance, like just the accountability, shifting that and being like, what is the expectation? Cover your bases, make sure that you're documenting that you're doing all these things so we get credit, because there's that fear that we've done all this and somehow it won't count. So shifting and doing all that stuff has been interesting.
One of the things I noticed is that that big obstacle is you've gone for a while, and a little bit in the beginning, it was almost like a little mini vacation for the kids. It was kind of like, whoa, this is kind of cool. I'm home all the time. I get up when I want. I do a little bit of class, and then I play some games. And now it's getting a little bit tighter, a little bit different. They're getting a group. Their accountability is there. And like Tisha, we have a daily attendance, and I ask a question every day. And sometimes it's just something silly or fun, like if you could meet one person, dead or alive, who would that be? And then share with them the responses, and then get a dialogue going. So using things like Flipgrid and letting kids interact with each other that way. I also on Google Meets, there's a way to do little 10-minute or however long appointments. So I made that one of my quiz grades, that you have to come in and you have to talk to me. Have a face-to-face. We have to be able to see each other. And it was really cool. And it was really not much about the curriculum or their lessons. It was like, how are you doing? What are you doing for fun? What's something that you did that was different? And it was really very transformative for them, because it was literally just like one-on-one, no kids interrupting them. And so those really shy kids that you actually got to talk to, and nobody was going to listen, nobody's going to feedback, and they just like opened up. And it was a lot of fun. And I think it makes going forward with some new lessons, taking some of that and using that, saying, okay, I'm going to make some more individualized, personalized lessons based on just those little conversations that I had. And so the obstacle to that is, oh my gosh, it's a whole lot more work, but hopefully it'll be more meaningful to them too.
Yeah, so the situation is, I would still say, very much ongoing up here, probably due to some external factors that are exacerbating the situation. To borrow a phrase that my superintendent has used a few places, we're building the plane in the air. And it's a very apt analogy. So all credit to him on that. We have in this province canceled all provincial exams. They're just simply not feasible in any way to hold those, either trying to bring people together, which is obviously bad, or trying to find some kind of secure way to do that digitally. It's just not going to happen. And we also had an interesting mandate from our province to say that students will get final marks. And that was it. There wasn't any other details other than the student will get a final mark. And it wasn't until yesterday that we began to get some pretty clear indication of what that's really going to look like. So the whole idea of assessment and grading has completely changed. And for some students and parents, that's very hard for them to understand. And it's just a constant reminder of, this is a global pandemic. Whether little Timmy got a B or an A minus really is not the priority here. And for some, that's a very easy message to hear. And they're like, yeah, you're probably right. And then others, their priorities are in different places, shall we say. But one of the challenges that we've had here especially is actually budget. So when this whole thing started, we had our full staff complement. We had teachers, we had people that were filling in temporary positions for people that were on leaves, and we had all of our support staff still. So if you think about all those educational assistants that we have working with students that are very vulnerable, special needs, learning disabilities, all that, we started this pandemic with all of those supports, and we lost 1,800 of those staff, those support staff, very recently, because the province has clawed back some of the money that was originally assigned to education. So now we have to make do without those positions. We had some staff that, for a variety of different reasons, had to go on leave, and we had teachers in those positions covering for them. We can't afford them anymore. So now it's up to those that remain to essentially take up those teaching tasks. Now, we're in a place right now where it has worked so far, in the sense that we have some option teachers that can't teach options right now, that have stepped up, have kind of put off to the side those regular responsibilities they would have, and they're taking on these core classes. However, if we have a situation where, say, 2 or 3 staff in my building might get sick, there is no one to replace them. So that is something, I don't know what everyone else's context is. I'd be really curious to know actually, what kind of support do you have if something happens to you?